And then you just basically like pretend there's a customer in the shop and you got to talk to them. And they came to you and they're like, I have a problem with my brand. And you're like,
what's your problem?
Well, that's why I'm here. I need to know. I need to know what it is. So what are we talking about today?
We are talking about the most common problems that businesses face with their branding.
Branding, right?
Yeah.
So is it consistency, or is it like, what do you think is the biggest problem that you've seen? Like where people would just continuously come to us over and over again to try and figure out what to do?
Yes. Consistency is huge.
Yeah.
Across all platforms, whether it's social media platforms, your website, your vehicles.
Yep.
All those things.
I think that they have a lot of consistency issues because at some point in time in the game, they've gotten a logo. And at that moment, they thought they were done. Because you have a logo doesn't mean you necessarily have a brand, right? The brand is more than that. It's the definition of a brand is the look and the feel. Right? So how someone feels when they look at your business is your brand. So sometimes what we have to do with customers is like back them up, right? And that's hard to do because it feels like a lot of work, because sometimes it is a lot of work. And we do a brand identity. Like, why is this brand in existence? What does it do? How do you define it? What does it look like? What does it sound like? How does it make people feel?
What does it mean to you?
Inwardly, like how does it make you feel? How are your employees supposed to feel about that?
Why do you do what you do?
Yeah.
What do you want people to know about what you do and how you do it?
Yeah. And most of it isn't like really hard work. Most of the time it's just stepping back and looking at what you have and being honest with yourself, right? Where things are working and where things aren't working.
You have to be vulnerable.
If something isn't working, you have to be willing to throw it away.
Yeah. You have to step out of your comfort zone and really like nail down what's working and what's not working so that you can fix what's not working and play off of the strengths of what is working.
Yep. Yep. Kind of be able to tie things together. Sometimes less is more, a lot of that, you know? So like if you have your brand and we talk about making it like match across all these platforms that are out there, like what are some platforms that we always suggest to people?
Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn,
social media.
Yep. Those are your website, your physical space. Like if you have a storefront or
Google My Business, even like that's Google your online storefront, right?
Yes.
So those things. Yep. And
vehicles.
Yeah, vehicles. We do
vehicles are big. Vehicles. They're a mobile billboard. So like what are you advertising on your billboard?
Yep.
Is it the right message? Does it have the right information?
Yeah. And even like, so when you bring in a system for your brand, it makes it a lot easier to be able to say, I have vehicles now and I want graphics on them, because now we know what those vehicles should represent, what they should look like.
Yeah.
Even if it comes down to just color, right? Mm-hmm. So we see a lot of brands out there that don't have the most consistent color. And not that a brand has to always use the exact same color. It can run different campaigns that can feel different, right? So big companies do that a lot. Like picture like Nike, right? The Nike swoosh can be orange and white. That's their classic colors, but it could also be yellow on blue or something like that. But the icon is there and the brand feels like the brand still, and it's unmistakable, right? The
feeling is the same when you look at the swoosh, no matter what color it is, no matter what they have going on.
And we do that for brands in the brand identity too. We show them, this is your logo, this is your primary and your secondary and your mark. And then when we start to show them their identity in action, one of the things we actually do is on one slide, we take like colors that we haven't shown them yet, but they're in the same family to be able to work with the colors that their brand has. And we show them how their logo and their brand system can be working together and be more versatile.
Yeah.
So if they wanted it to be, what we say it all the time, but is your brand evolutionary or revolutionary, right?
Correct.
So I like evolutionary for sure. I like something that evolves because like that's what we see too when we have businesses that come to us. Sometimes it's not even a business yet. Sometimes it's a person that has an idea and they want a business, but we actually with the identity help them focus what that idea
Like, pick a
should
direction,
look like.
like pick a path.
Yep.
We're having they have all these ideas, and we're kind of honing in on those ideas and making them more
Yep.
real and attainable
Yeah.
with that brand identity.
And it's up to them at that point. Like if we do an identity, it's up to them to determine if it needs to change any, right? Like what their original vision is at that point. And I've seen where brands have come to us and maybe um, they've niched everything down so fine that they don't have a very big customer base, right? And we've kind of brought that into the light with a brand identity because it's who are you appealing to, right? And then at that point, it's not our decision; it's their decision. If that's the way that the brand is projecting,
Headed.
and they
Yep.
believe that there's enough for them to focus down in on that thing, that they go for it, right? But why you need to have something that evolves with you, right? Is let's say that didn't work out great, right? Let's come up with a brand that can pivot and it can change with you.
Yeah,
And
but it doesn't just shut you down completely. You just pick a different direction, a different path, a different curve in your road.
yeah, so maybe talking a bit about like what Got It Made was when we first started it out. Like we were very wide open.
Yes, we really didn't have a direction. We wanted to leave, I think, the playing field wide open for being able to do whatever came at
Yeah,
us because we felt like we needed to be able to offer everything.
we knew we wanted to make something, so
Right.
that's where Got It Made
Yeah.
kind of came
Got it
from.
made.
Like we make things, right? And there's a like it plays off of things, right? So like we wanted to be so good for our customers that when they work with us, they feel like
They've
they've
got it made.
got it made.
Yeah.
And we knew if we could change our life enough and do the things that we want to do on a day-to-day basis, like we don't go to work anymore, we got it made, right? So
Yeah.
and not that I want that to be like the focus of the name. I'd
No.
rather it be that we give our customers great
Yeah. They get it
experiences and
made.
they,
Yes.
but yeah, um I think that was where we started out. And you know, we cut like little vinyl stickers for events because we
Mhm.
couldn't find really reliable places to get what we wanted for certain events through our jobs. And what we had a tiny cutter,
Yeah.
and then we had a medium cutter. And the medium cutter only worked for us for like what, like
The
four
tiny
months?
cutter only worked for like
Yeah,
a week. And then we had to
yeah.
go into the medium and then, yeah, a couple months.
And then we bought a really big one, but it was secondhand. And that was an interesting experience because not much worked right on that cutter. And the guy that we bought it from gave us a whole bunch of really old vinyl that I ended up just having to throw away because
Yeah.
it was so
It didn't do
not
us any
stored
good.
right. And I wouldn't want to sell it to anyone. Um, but yeah, I mean, and we had I made a picnic table for somebody at one point in time. I made a kid's picnic table because I'm like, yeah, I can make that. We got it made. I can make it. Right. It's crazy. But so, but yeah, then, you know, but we had to pivot, right? Because we knew we couldn't rely off of just being this like, hey, can you guys make this for me
We
place.
say yes to
And
everything.
little stickers were always kind of like a tedious job. And I remember sitting at the dining room table and picking
Oh, yeah.
little bits of vinyl
I was
out,
pretty
right?
mad at you.
Yeah, we did
Why
that.
did we say we would do this?
Yeah. Well, got us
Which
to
got
where we
us
are now.
somewhere. Got us
Yeah. And
somewhere.
really one of our biggest pivots was during COVID, right? So we both had jobs that didn't exist really anymore. Like they sent us home, right? So it was who's the essential worker at that point. We didn't know. And there was a lot of uncertainty at the
Yeah,
time. Like we
for
didn't
sure.
really know what was going to happen with the places where we worked and what was going to happen with how they were going to potentially bring us back. And then you actually went back to work first,
I
kind
think
of.
so. Yeah.
I had a chance where I worked kind of remotely, so I did that for quite a while. But what we saw was there. I remember the day there was a meeting that took place. There were actually like, I think 3 or 4 of them. And we probably only had a spot in the room for like one of those meetings. And it was through the local chamber of commerce where all the businesses in town were kind of freaking out, wondering what to do. So they had meetings for each type of business. So we're in a big touristy area. So there was a lot of tourism. So the restaurants and the gift shops and things like that,
Hmm.
they all had a meeting. And I remember signing up for it. And they were probably like, why is he signing up for it? Right. Because they didn't know what I
Yeah.
was doing.
You're not a restaurant.
And there was one for like industrial services, and there was one for like other types of services. I remember there were 3 different
Categories.
Zoom calls,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Before, and like nobody did video calls before, I think that day.
Yeah.
So it was. And so we got on there, and as we started listening to like what the community needed, right? And it was like social distancing stickers because everybody had to be compliant with these rules. Everybody had to be 6 feet apart. So they needed these dots that would stick to tile and
Carpet.
carpet and
Yep.
cement and whatever else, right?
Yep.
And they all needed signs on their doors that were talking about
The
how people
rules.
should act in
Yeah.
this business so that people wouldn't have fights about somebody being dangerous or whatever it was,
Yes.
right? So probably more blown out of proportions. Who knows, right? With not the situation, but like with
But
the
how
amount of
much
rules
stuff.
that
Yeah.
we had to follow
Yeah.
in this town. And I think it was an okay thing though too, because there were maybe other places that didn't take enough time to organize that. And I remember that was one of their pushes. They wanted it from the north end of town to the south end of town, all the branding on all that stuff to match, because they didn't want everybody to come up with their own thing. They wanted something that was recognizable where
Yeah.
if you were in the town, you knew this was this.
Yeah.
There's the same colors, there's the same fonts,
Mhm.
there's the same instructions, no confusion. So we actually like we partnered with some people that printed specialty stuff during that time, and we started designing it, and we did a whole bunch of floor decals and wall decals and windows
Signs
and
and
stuff.
kinds of
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
And a lot of them were like for like public services, libraries, things like that, as they started to kind of come back and open up. But then that was when like got it made took shape, right? Like so that was like, hey, we probably should be designing things and printing things. And through my job, I had experience with fleet vehicles and commercial wraps and things like that. And we always had kind of a hard time when somebody wanted one. And when we'd get them done, I would see things done with them that I felt wrong about. Like there were sloppy installs, there
Yeah.
were inconsistent
Cutting
colors.
corners.
Yeah, there's one company in particular stands out to me, and their colors varied from the darkest of the shade of that color to the most bright.
Bright. Intense.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
remember one day when I delivered one of their new vehicles to them after it had been wrapped from one of the other shops adjacent to us. I remember seeing there were 4 or 5 vehicles parked in front of the garage door out front, and I went like,
Oh.
from here to there, everything is not one is the same. Maybe 2
Yeah.
were the same because we did 2 at once one time, so they came off the printer at the same time. But there was just like massive color consistency issues,
Oh.
and I was like embarrassed to drop that car off. I
Even
remember.
though you didn't do it, but you knew it
Right.
shouldn't look like that.
Yeah.
You knew that like they weren't. You knew they had a color,
Yeah.
and not one of them was like meeting their color guidelines like it
And
should be.
and the craziest thing to me at that point was how the management and the owners were cool with it. And I was like, that's gotta be like there's gotta be like a higher standard to this stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So then I started looking into it, and I'm like, what is a vehicle wrap? How does it go on? What printer does it come off of? How do you print it and all that stuff? And there's what like we took a trip. It was like just as things were opening up, you know. And I remember sitting at the table of the house that we were renting, staying at, and I was like, I think I'm just gonna do it. And everybody was like, probably, yeah. What do you got to lose? Just figure it out. So we bought a really, really expensive printer that we didn't know how to use,
While we were on vacation.
and that we didn't really have space for either at the time. So that was like an engineering feat in itself. I'll save that one for a different time about how we had to
Get it to into the
literally
house.
lower it into the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, then I remember it was also just like a sink or swim moment. Like I sold a wrap, and we had to like recreate a design that they were already using for the rest of their fleet. So it challenged my design skills early on. But then it was like, how do you export the file so that's portable? How do you get it to go through the software? There, there's software for the printer that's dedicated to just getting. You can't just print like you can off your computer.
No.
It takes software to tell the printer how to print it. It's kind of a weird system. So, and I remember just thinking to myself, like, this is either going to work or it's
It's
not going to
not.
work. And another pivot moment if it didn't, right?
Yeah.
But it worked. And
Well, I
like,
mean, a pivot moment regardless. Like,
yeah.
wait, when you find out it works, you still have to pivot. You have to
Well,
then,
then we were shifting to bigger things.
yes, then you have to pick your
Yeah.
direction,
Yeah.
and decide which way to go.
Yeah. So that's what we did. And like we went a long time with like borrowing space and learning things and taking classes and we'd go to trade shows and what RapsCon. We actually got a chance to go there right after COVID. And we got to meet some pretty big people in the
Yeah,
industry
big
that
names.
we didn't probably have the right to rub elbows with at the time.
No, we were
So
definitely small fish in the big pond.
yeah,
For sure.
but it was cool because we got one-on-one. I mean, like I'm linked to them with social media now after that event. It's not like we talk often or anything like that. We're not buds or anything, but these
But
people are all over the country.
he had already been following them and watching what they were doing. So then to actually like meet them and see them in person was huge.
Yeah, it was like a
That's
surreal moment.
big deal for
You can't go to school and learn how to wrap cars at like a university. Um, they don't really tell you how to design a wrap at any university that I've found so
Yeah.
far. That's actually one of the struggles that we find is when we interview designers to help us with projects.
Yeah.
They don't have that experience, so it's hard because you have to coach them all the way through. So stuff that we're working on as far as that goes. But at the time, so our logo was this box and it represented something to me. And I don't think I even told anybody really what it meant until like years after I had done it. But I had a little hole in the bottom of it. And that was like my way of like crawling out of where I was and going to do something new.
Getting
Right.
outside of the box.
Yeah. And then that logo wasn't a good logo. Like I didn't know what I know now about how we need to format the logo so that we can put it on something that lines up horizontally, like the side of a vehicle, or top of a letterhead, or right, or top of your website, even,
or
right?
even something that needs to be circular.
Yeah,
or we never really thought about that either.
Yeah. So then I was like, okay, we need to redesign this. We need to like rebrand. And it was tough because we had a website at the time, we had a CRM tool at the time, we had all of our social media accounts at the time,
email signatures.
We had
it's crazy how many places you use it.
Stuff that we had printed for signage, and we had postcards that we'd hand out to people and what we did, and it had it got everything wrong, right? So then we ended up designing another one, and we still use that logo a little bit today. It's like a stamp. It's our stamp of approval.
Yep.
So we use that on anything that we ship.
Made by Made.
Yep. So that way, when we make something, it's made by us. We put a stamp on it. So, and then everything kind of evolved like last year because we had 2 racing teams reach out to us that were having troubles finding, well, maybe not all of them were finding a dependable shop, but finding a local shop / somebody that could come through with good designs and good install and that, so it would last the season.
And efficiency and
better communication, stuff like
timely
that.
manner, having it done in a timely manner.
Yeah. So we ended up, we sponsored both, which was a little weird for us, but we felt bad because they reached out to us like within the same 24 hours. Like we thought they knew each other, like that they told each other about us.
No, but they were in the same race circuit.
That
we felt like we couldn't just pick one and not the other because we didn't really know either of them. Yep. So that was like we kind of just we're like, well, let's do it. Like we're gonna do it.
And one guy that was fairly new to it all, and another guy that was a little bit more seasoned and had been in it for a long time. And it was kind of cool because we ended up doing 2 different designs. Learning how to design a race car is different than what we did with commercial vehicles, personal wraps and stuff like that we'd done in the past, because they're all different, right? So like the hoods and where they put their parts and how the exhaust comes out and the setup of the wheels and the suspension getting your way differently on each one of them. So we had to like make an actual template for both cars.
Yeah.
And we fully wrapped both cars.
Yeah.
And minus one, the fuel tank. Fuel tank was a bit older on the one, and it gave us some problems with lifting paint. But but the reason I bring that up is it made us rebrand. So I didn't like the way that any of our logos worked on race cars. So I needed something that was going to look a little bit more modern, a little more angular, had more motion, a little more energy, right?
Yeah.
So then that's when we came up with
Yep.
that one. And we started using that on everything and saw a better response out of a lot of stuff, right? Because we work with a wide range of, we had what we work with just this week, like an international company reached out to us to do work for them, which is
Yes.
pretty wild,
Yeah.
and some, I don't know, some think we're huge. We're not huge, right? There's way bigger than us. In fact, we're in some groups with some that are way bigger than us. But the that rebrand, I think, opened a door for us to be more confident and look more uh, engineered by design, right? Like we knew what we were doing, right? So
Purposeful.
there was trust automatically
Yes.
because they found us on Google, they checked out our website, they submitted a lead through a lead funnel that we have on there, and we responded to them like quickly.
Yeah.
So that was easy,
Yep.
So a lot of that stuff, you don't really want to, you don't want to skip the little stuff, because if you skip the little things, you're going to end up tripping later on, and you have to come back and you have to
Your
redo
mound's
it
going
all.
to get bigger
Yeah.
and less easy to go over versus if you start at the bottom and chip
Yeah.
away. It's a lot easier pill to swallow than
Right.
Something that's this huge mountain in front of you and you don't know how to tackle it.
But it was good for us too to be able to kind of redo things later on too, because we got a chance to kind of like set ourselves apart too. And that's something I think that a lot of brands don't really look at. We use heating and cooling companies all the time as our example with people in the shop. So they come into the brand studio and they sit down with us and they start talking about what they want and what they envision, like their colors, or if they have a logo, what their colors are. And a lot of times different trades use the same stuff.
Colors, yeah.
So heating and
colors,
cooling, like pay attention next time you see a heating and cooling company and tell me if they're using red, white, and blue, because red is heat and blue is cool.
Yep.
And white is just, and it kind of goes off the America thing and all whatever, and there's 7 of them in your town. They're all red, white, and blue. They all use flames and icicles or whatever it is, right? Like, now, how is your business standing out from the other 5 businesses that use red, white, and blue and all the same, right? Like you're not any different, right? So so a lot of times, like with a brand identity, we're looking into it and we're saying, like, what does the rest of your competition look like and how do you look different from them? Because you don't want to market for them.
Right.
Or having a brand that stands out on its own. Like there's one when we're riding up north. It's a company for seamless gutters, and it's a billboard, and it just says seamless gutters, like as big as you can read it.
Right.
And they did an awesome job advertising for the concept of gutters without seams.
Yep, I know what you do.
But
who are you?
Can't tell you who it is. And then to make matters worse, the second thing that I look at in their billboard is it's a roof with windows as their logo, their icon, which that works for gutters, windows, siding, builders,
remodeling,
roofing.
They
all use the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So we, a lot of times when we get somebody that's a roofer or a builder, we go like, yeah, let's like avoid the roof with the window on it. Let's do something that looks a bit different. So yeah, so sometimes it's just about having like a long-term vision in your brand and seeing what it's going to grow into. And if you can set up a good brand system, then that's what builds trust initially before you've even opened your mouth or before they've even set foot in your door. You'll find that,
and it just makes it easy.
Yeah.
If there's a system, there's no questions, there's no what am I supposed to do here? It's all laid out for you. It's there. It's easy to follow. Anybody can follow it.
The decisions get easier.
Yes.
So yeses come faster from customers when you have this put together, right? And then that's going to ultimately, that supports your growth as a business.
Absolutely.
So branding is an investment. It's kind of one of those things. If you invest into it early, it's going to allow you to grow easier. It's like a plant with good soil,
Yeah.
right? So
Water.
if you have something like that,
Yeah.
you'll be able to kind of take off. So hopefully, like, that was just like a quick overview of like things to avoid early on with your branding journey, right?
We've been
So
there.
yeah,
We've been there. So we know how you're feeling. If you don't know where to start, or you aren't really sure what the next step is,
yeah,
that's why we're here. Like,
yeah,
we want to make it easy
yeah,
for people to, you know, attack this subject and make the branding thing not scary. It doesn't
yeah,
have to be scary. It can be a fun
yeah.
and exciting.
And I think like I've been working on it a little bit already, but I can probably attach it to this if somebody wants to try out. There's like a brand strength guide that I put together, and a lot of it is like stuff that I'm evaluating with companies before we do their brand systems or before we do their logos. Um, what is their actual presence right now? It basically, it's quick, it's easy. It's only going to be like 20 questions, but the questions are in categories that tells yourself about where you need to improve, because your brand is like a wheel, right?
Yeah.
And each one of these aspects that we cover in
It's a
this
spoke.
is a spoke.
Yeah.
And it's like um, really good author, designer, like he's kind of a head figure in our industry. There's a designer called, his name is Dan Antonelli. He writes about your brand being like a wheel, and if one part of your branding isn't great, it's like a dent in your wheel. Can you still roll that wheel down the road? Yes, but does it take more gas to get it to roll? Yes. So if you can find those weak spots, build them out, make a nice round wheel, everything goes down the road, no problem at
Smooth.
all. Yep. So yeah, so probably in the next episode we'll discuss a different topic. We'll try and bring something else up that kind of helps everybody build off of this, and hopefully everybody gets a chance to try out the quick brand strength guide
Yeah.
that we put together.
Yeah.
And if you get a perfect score, I don't know, right? But yeah, I don't know if there's anything that's absolutely perfect out there, but yeah, we're looking forward to seeing what people find about
Absolutely.
about all that. So yeah, easy enough. We'll pop back on the next time with even more information.
Thanks for tuning in.